There are some 3,000 names written in your Bible that describe a person. There are 77 names listed in Luke the 3rd chapter. Names are important to God, and they're important to us, because if we don't have a name, then we cannot reach the lost. So we do not want a contact card that looks like this. We do not want anyone to turn in a contact card that does not have the name and the information we need to follow up. In fact, I would say of all the issues that we face during the week at American Mission Campaigns, this is the biggest issue. This is the most difficult challenge for our workers to overcome. Because when you submit these cards, and if you don't have the proper information on them, we can't do our job. And so giving us a card that says Sam, who lives by the house with the big tree, is not sufficient for us to follow up. And so taking your time and learning how to fill out a contact card is important. So important that several years ago, we actually decided to start out AMC with a class on how to fill out a contact card. So what we want you to do is take your time. We want you to, when you go to a house, when you meet someone, when you make a contact, we want you to stop and take your time and fill out the card. Get the needed information. Some of the information on that card is essential. You need it. You can't turn it in without it. If you do, we're going to file it as quickly as you turn it in. We're not going to make any attempt to try to decipher it. We're just going to take that card and we're going to file it because we don't know what to do with it. So there are different categories or priorities, we might say, on your contact card. We're going to discuss those tonight. And so if you want to take some notes or take some pictures, you're welcome to use your phone. Of course, you have contact cards. They're going to be they're in your notebook. You don't have to get it out now, in your backpack. And we want to encourage you, if you came here and you're not sure you want to knock doors, I would encourage you to at least try it once. Because we're going to teach you how to do it from the time you leave this church building to the time to walk down the driveway. You walk up to the house, where to stand, how long to knock, what to say, what not to say. And let me just whet your appetite just a little bit. Because perhaps you have experienced door knocking and you don't like it because when you've done it in the previous occasions, you've had very minimal result. You put a lot of work into it, but you get almost no results. Our results in our campaign, we've done this in Illinois, we've done it in Virginia, we've done it in Texas, we've done it in Alabama, we've done it in Georgia, we've been all over Tennessee. We've done this in a variety of places, rural, urban, suburban. Our average result is a 20 to 25% success rate. That means we succeed 20 to 25% of the times when we knock doors. And so we have a very focused and intentional training course that we're going to provide every day. So we're not going to just send you out and say good luck. And we're going to try to pair you up with someone who has experience. We have experienced door knockers sitting in the pews right now. So we're going to try to pair you up with someone who has some experience. So we're just not going to throw you out there. So if you've come, okay, and you're not sure, give it a chance just one time. Just try. And if you're going to do that, you'll need a backpack. You'll need to tell us at registration. In fact, after this lesson, the registration table is going to open. And those of you who arrived a little later, register tonight. Let's make sure we get your lanyard and make sure we give you the information you need. All right? And we're going to need people delivering water. We need silent partners. So maybe you're uncomfortable talking, but we never send people out alone. So there's a lot of roles for everyone. And of course, we need card writers. We'll talk more about that. Let's look at our contact card this evening. And notice there are some asterisks. You see those asterisks? Obviously, those asterisks are going to be very, very important. They're important because we can't do anything without them. On the very top of your contact card, you're going to see a little dialog box that says team number. Obviously, we need your team number. If you're team 1, you put team 1. Team leader. Who's your team leader's name? So you might put the name Jason, and maybe you're with Jason. He's your team leader. Put that name down because we may need to contact him, all right? Who made the contact? So in that team, which one of you talked to that person? Who is the individual that we can go to and say, tell us a little bit more about this person, all right? So write the team name. Now, first name, required. We will, again, file it if we don't get this. First name and last name, we need the name. 77 names mentioned, Luke 3, 3,000 names about mentioned in Scripture, starting in Genesis chapter 5, Genesis chapter 9, going throughout the Scripture. God, there are some 2,000 names mentioned, over 2,000 in the Old Testament. We can get a name. And so this is essential. Please do not hand us without one. Now, when you're filling it out, read out the letters as you fill it out. So if they say, my name's Jason Wright, say, is that R-I-G-H? You say, no, that's W-R-I-G-H-T. Right? We don't want to misspell someone's name. We might be sending them a card or communicating them in some way. We certainly want to spell their name correctly, all right? We don't want to misspell, so we need your help to do that. All right, notice it says phone. All right, so if they're willing to communicate, say, hey, we can send a text, and let them know that we're not going to sell their phone number. We're not going to give it away. But especially if it's someone who wants to know more about the church. This is an individual who says, hey, yes, I'd like to know more about your church. But we need to be able to communicate with them. And so getting that information is important. It's required. We have to have a way to contact them. Maybe someone wants to come to our community meal at the end of the week. Maybe someone needs a ride, and we need to be able to schedule with them in some way. So phone number, important. Again, read it back to them. Make sure you have an area code. There probably are multiple I know there are multiple area codes in this area. Here's how I know that. People use cell phones, and cell phones do not always use the same area codes. And if you're like me, and I've moved a few times, I still have my code from, I don't know, I think it's from Kentucky or Tennessee, and I'm in Alabama. I've never changed it. So don't assume they have, get that information out. All right. So notice that's red. Those are red. Those are all red outlines. So if you're taking pictures or making notes, that is required. We can't do anything without that. Now we go to yellow. So these are important, but not as essential. We'll take the card. All right. Email address. Okay. It'd be great if we could, send them a note, send them maybe the bulletin from church, maybe an invitation to a meeting or a vacation Bible school. So the church can add it to their mass mailing email address when they send out information to the community. We can send them house to house, heart to heart. Again, we're not going to sell it. We're not going to give it to anyone other than the local church. Now, that's red. Look at that address. Where are they located? Please don't give us a descriptive landmarks. Next to Big Blue Warehouse is not helpful to us. Okay, so we want to make sure that when you get an address, we have the actual number. 1234 Narrow Lane Road, whatever it is, 123 Wide Circle, whatever it is. Please give us that information. All right. Sometimes you don't have to ask because it's on their mailbox. You walk up to the house, it's on there. All right, you already have it. If it says 569 and you're on Bell's Lane, just write it down. You don't have to ask them. You're right there. All right. Notice, what date did you contact this individual? So if it's the 17th, the 18th, the 9th, just tell us what was the day, because we're going to prioritize and we will use dates as part of that. This is what we call type. What kind of type of contact is this? Is this someone who's visited this church? Okay, so tomorrow, if you have a visitor, if that was the person, you say, hey, my name's Jason, and I'm from Collinsville. Are you a member here at Alkire Road? They said, no, we just moved in. We just started to visit your church. That's contact. That's called a visitor. All right, we want to make sure we get that information. All right, how about door knocking? That's what most of our contacts will be. But then we have new movers. We're going to be doing that as well. Are they a new mover? Maybe they say, hey, we just moved here. Check new mover. We just want to know kind of why did we visit them. It could be they're a referral. A member of this church could have given this name. Say, hey, I've got a neighbor. I'd like you to go visit them. That's a referral. Maybe someone reached out to this church and said, we'd like some benevolent help. We'd like, again, categorize. Why are we there? What type of contact is this? That will help us follow up with them. It may be that we offer to, mow their lawn, fix a mailbox, because we will be offering community services as the week progresses. So this is one that should be checked for everyone. Again, door knocking. So please don't skip that. Again, take your time. Don't rush. When you're going out and coming back, sometimes you'll get some information, sketch it down, and we'll see people sitting down in the auditorium and they're filling out the details of that contact card, making sure that we don't miss vital information. All right. Prospecting. Okay, what are we going to do? So what's the action we're going to take? Now, it may be that we offered that particular day, hey, we'd like to, we're a card-sending church. If you know someone that needs some encouragement, we'll send some cards. They said, yeah, my husband just had surgery, and he could use some cards. We're going to check compassion cards. Or maybe we find someone who needs some food. We're going to check a meal. So prospecting is just, what action is it that we're going to take? What is it that they need? So we're going to follow up with them. Now, when you're prospecting, that's a way of kindness. It's a way of offering love, grace, compassion. And so those are very important parts of evangelism. Now, you can use the backside of your contact card. It's blank on purpose. Like I have one right here. And you can write down, for example, some details of some things that they want. So use the back of the card. It's blank for a reason, and they're large for a good reason. Prospecting is important. It's the second part of our model. We're going to use this model all week. We're going to ask you to memorize it. I'm going to refer to it in almost every lesson, and because it's the heart and soul of New Testament evangelism. This is what Jesus taught, and we're going to make that abundantly clear all week. Now, notice that's yellow, location. Okay, it's yellow because you may turn in a contact card. There is no study. There is no location. In other words, there isn't an action that requires them to come to a church building or their house, but there may be. And if there is, it most likely would be their home. We just want to make sure we know where that is. If they've requested to know more about this church, and we say, well, when would we like to do that? Where can we? Well, you can just come to this house, just put in their home. Or if they want to come to the church building, that's fine with us as well. We just want to know. Now, this is big right here. You see that where it says the few? Up here on this stage, we have this board. It's empty right now. It's discouraging. It won't be empty for long. So when you find someone, all right, and you can tell that they're very interested. They say, I don't have a church home, but I've been needing to go to church, and where are you guys from? Now, that's a great contact. So what we're going to do is we're going to circle that and say that's the few. Now, there's a reason we use that term, and I will make that clear throughout this week. I have a whole lesson on this. But God uses the term few. We're going to use that same term because Jesus uses it to describe people who are truly seeking. They're truly wanting to know more. And so when you meet someone and they say something like, well, yeah, we're glad you're here. We kind of have a church and thanks for coming. And don't get excited and write them down. Say, there they are. That's the few. No, it's not the few. Okay, they're just, they're the many. Okay, they're on the completely different side of this. We're looking for people, all right, who are searching and seeking, and they need help, and they know they want help, and you've shown up, and they may even say, you know what, I've had this happen almost every campaign. I got up this morning, and I was praying that God would send someone, and you knocked on my door. I get that. Jason, how many times? Every campaign I find that individual. That's the few. When you find the few, what we're going to do is have you come up here. We're going to have index cards right here. We're going to have you write their name on this card, and we're going to staple it right here. Starting Monday, we're going to start praying by name for every person you place on this board. So when you put the name Joe Smith up there, we're going to pray for Joe Smith. Every single time we come together. We're going to pray multiple times a day. We're going to pray morning, afternoon, evening. We're going to pray. We're going to ask you to pray individually. We're going to get the whole church praying. Brethren, there's power in prayer. It's one of the most underutilized tools God gives us. In fact, I've heard for years, well, prayer is the least you can do. No, brethren. Prayer is the most you can do. There isn't anything we do more important than praying for people, and we don't do it. There isn't a brother in this church who prays who hasn't said, God, keep us safe when we travel home. I guarantee if you lead a public prayer, you pray that prayer. I want to know when the last time is we prayed for the few. We prayed by name. We say, God, help us reach them. God, this person's searching and give me wisdom. Brethren, we're going to learn to pray this week because prayer is powerful and it'll move mountains. And we're going to pray and pray and pray because God hears the prayers of a righteous man and they avail much. And we should never underestimate what prayer can do for God's people, and that's called the few. We need to know who they are. Don't invent them out of thin air. Don't make someone the few just because they said hello and smiled. The few are people who show genuine interest. They want to know more. They want you to come back. And we're going to fill this board. And they're going to be the most important people we meet all week. These are the people that come to the community meal. These are the people that we're inviting to come. These are the people that say, I'd like to know more about the Bible. I don't know a lot. I used to go to church. I grew up in the Church of Christ. Haven't gone in years. It's the few. I can't emphasize that enough. You got to circle it for me. And you got to put their name on that board. And we'll talk more about that soon. That is important. All right. It's yellow. It means you don't interrogate them. It means you don't say, "What? Have you been married before? How many times you been married? When did you get married? Divorced? Why'd you get divorced?" We are not investigators. That is not our job. Do not interrogate the person that you meet. If they volunteer it and say, I've been going through some hard times, Mr. Tim. Last month, my husband left me. We're going to write that down. That's important. That's information that's going to help us reach them. And so we want to know about him, but we don't want you to interrogate. If they volunteer, here's what I've learned. Bobby Bates wrote this in Fishing for Men. He's one of the great evangelists of the last century. This school is built upon great evangelists, Jesus being the most important. But Bobby Bates wrote this. He said, if you give a person interest, they'll give you information. You don't have to ask them. They'll tell you. You don't have to ask. They're going to give you if you'll just show interest in them. We're going to teach you how to do that. So again, this is helpful but not required. It's important because it gives us an understanding about where they are in life. And so please do appointment date, yellow because you may not have one. But again, if they say, hey, yes, tomorrow, could you come back? We're going to give a date, here, come back this date, this time. And we will make sure we follow up with that. If you have an appointment, we will keep it. Remember, the Great Commission was a commission of appointment. Remember, Jesus said, go there, wait for me. I got something to say. And so it was an appointed time. And so appointments can be very important. You wouldn't miss a doctor's appointment. We will not miss this appointment. Now, on the bottom it says home study, correspondence course callback. And that just gives us kind of, again, an indicator. They might say, I'd like to know more about the Bible, but I'd like to do it on my own. I really don't want someone here. We'll just check correspondence course. Or they say, you can come back and, we'll visit again sometime, call back. They may say, I'd like to have a home Bible study. And we'll talk more about that, but still, we want to make sure we identify those categories. Now, if canceled, that is, you're going to get the card back, maybe Wednesday, you go to their house, they're not home, and you need to tell us, hey, they weren't home, they didn't show up. Or they had a note on the door that said, sorry, I couldn't be here, I had to make a run to the store. But we just want to kind of figure out more about that. So, again, you have the back of the card, too, if needed. So, if canceled, why is it canceled? So, notice the breakdown of the card. Why don't you take your phone and make a picture of that? Take a picture of that. There's the red. There's the yellow. Again, those are important facts about the contact card. We'll cover this briefly again Sunday and Monday. But that few there, wow, if you get one of those few, not everyone's not red because most of the people you meet will not be in that category. Most of the people we meet are in the many category. You know what Jesus says about the many, don't you? Many are called. And broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many there be that go in that. But narrow is the way that leads to life, and how many? Few. The Marines are looking for a few good men. We're looking for a few good souls, and they're out there. You know where they live? In Grove City, Ohio. And that's where we're going. They are your neighbors. They are the people you work with. They are your friends. And we have people who come from all over this country to help you find them. We're looking for the few. And that's what this contact card is about. Brethren, you're holding in your hand when you fill one of these out. You know what you're holding? Anybody know what this is? This is a soul. Don't throw your soul away. Guard it. Take your time. Fill it out. Because if you'll do that, we can follow up with them. But if you scratch it together and we can't read your writing and you don't give us the information, we have to file it. which means that you have wasted your time and our time. So let's not do that. So that's our contact card lesson. It's important, and I hope you'll give it some attention. We'll mention it again. We're going to start tomorrow morning at 9:30. We're going to be here early. So if you are in the American Mission Campaign tonight and you're not a member of the Alkire Road Church of Christ, raise your hand. Raise your hand. Hi. Very good. Guess where you're going to sit tomorrow? With the members. We're not going to sit together. I don't want you going and huddling in with your group. I want you to go sit with the members of this church, and I want you to introduce yourselves. I want you to say, hi, my name is Keno. This is my wife, Jamie Schramm, and we're from Coweta, Oklahoma. And you might say, hey, my name is John Justice, and I'm an elder at Alkire Road, our Church of Christ in Grove City, Ohio. And so that's what we want tomorrow. So please do that tomorrow. Intermingle. I promise you'll be better for meeting people. Thank you to the membership who are hosting our workers. Some of you have not met up with your workers, but they may have just arrived, and we'll make sure that happens. But we're grateful for your help. This is a cooperative effort. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to get instructions from God himself. We're going to listen to what he said, and we're going to work and co-labor together with Tim and the elders and provide you the very best that we can. The American Mission Campaigns are developing a reputation in this nation, and it's a good one. Hundreds of souls have been baptized into Christ. I've never seen a failure. I've only seen good. In fact, we have elders and members of churches that have hosted these here tonight that have come again and say, I want to learn more. I want to find out what are we missing. What can I learn? And we never stop learning how to reach the lost. So this is an exciting week. Most exciting week of our year. So my wife Nicole and my daughter Hannah were registering you. Austin and I co-direct these together. We started these in 2021, and Austin, that was one of the finest lessons I've heard you preach, son. That was with passion. I loved it. I love that. I love that passion, don't you? And those are the kind of lessons you're going to get this week. We are passionate about souls.